it over now to Vincent Palamara. Incidentally, we will take questions on all the presentations after.
Jerry.
This is an excerpt from a work in progress called Survivor's Guild, the Secret Service, and the JFK murder. In 1963, powerful forces had waged war against President Kennedy. Hundreds of books have shown evidence that elements of the Mafia, the CIA, and Hoover's FBI had both the motive, means, and opportunity to aid and abet the murder of JFK. As you may be aware of, at least some of the books that have popular on their last 5-10 years of counting. But what about the Secret Service? Well, compared to the aforementioned suspected groups, this particular federal agency has received considerably smaller attention, and the overt reasons for this should be obvious to most. After all, aren't they the organization charged to protect the president, regardless of who he is politically and morally speaking? Without even delving any further into this issue, this is why the Secret Service, as a suspect in the JFK murder, has received considerably shorter shrift. There's an element of evil through the years about Hoover. He's not the angel we thought would be, to put it mildly. The CIA mafia plots, and obviously the mafia speaks volumes. But nobody ever really is focused on the Secret Service. Now, however, throughout world history, the bodyguards have almost always been the key to a successful coup d'etat. Go back to the days of Julius Caesar, longer. Back to the last summer, August of 1991, the Russian overthrow of the KGB. Nevertheless, when most people view the assassination of John F. Kennedy, they tend to overlook the men sworn to protect the president. And this oversight is to be expected, to be honest with you. No one has made a salient argument in favor of any factor of Secret Service complicity until now. This presentation, which acts merely as a small excerpt of a work in progress, will show that elements of the Secret Service had the motive, means, and opportunity to aid in a simulated attack on the President of the United States that backfired, resulting in both the murder of the young leader and the ensuing cover. In fact, this agency, the United States Secret Service, acts as an important link in the chain of already proven suspects and suspected entities. The help provided by certain elements of this organization is absolutely vital for the success of this operation. Now, we will first take a look at the official Secret Service driver of the deadly death limousine in Dallas, William Robert Greer. By focusing on this particular agent, we will find out about unprecedented, damaging evidence of extreme negligence, carelessness, and ultimately treason. The suppression, tampering, and destruction of important evidence leads the trail suspiciously and uniquely to Greer. But in the final analysis, it will be conclusively demonstrated that Agent Greer played perhaps the most crucial role in saving the president's life on November 22nd, 1963, and he failed. Just a little background on Greer before we get to the events of November 22nd. Since becoming JFK's driver on Election Day 1960, Secret Service agent Bill Greer had been literally all over the world with the president: England, Germany, Austria, France, Ireland, etc., and obviously the United States, as his official Secret Service chauffeur. He had earned his position. His 30-plus years of experience ran the gamut of working for Henry Cabot Lodge, a two-time political opponent of JFK and our ambassador to Saigon, and private families in Dobbs Ferry, New York, as well as his official duties as a member of the Secret Service during President Truman and Eisenhower's administration. It was this impressive background that led him to JFK, destiny, and Dallas. Now, shooting up to March 1964, when Bill Greer testified before the House Select Committee, our buddy Arlen Specter was the chief interrogator. Well, some highlights of this testimony, this very untruthful testimony, goes as follows. Just to summarize them, I could go on and on, but just to highlight them. Greer claimed that he never caught sight of President Kennedy in the backseat of the limousine during the shooting. He claimed to have only seen the governor, John B. Connally. Greer claimed that he only glanced back briefly one time. Greer stated that he hit the accelerator of the car simultaneously receiving instruction to get out of line by a superior, Special Agent in charge Roy Kellerman, who sat beside Greer in the limousine less than a foot away. Greer does not state that he ever slowed down or nearly came to a stop at any time before, during, or after the shooting. Keep that in mind, that's crucial, because I'm going to be showing the video that will shoot all these things out of the water in Greer's so-called statements. Greer denied telling the FBI that it was he who used the radio immediately after the shooting. Greer denied telling the FBI that he caught sight of President Kennedy, which he really did. Greer claimed that he accelerated the car after what was probably the second shot, to quote the Warren report. And Greer stated he knew the president was injured in some way. However, he couldn't ascertain the source, to quote him. The source was his own two eyes on the story itself. Needless to say, Specter, future President Gerald Ford and the entire Warren Commission took Agent Greer at his word, like he did most everybody in the federal government testified, despite films and eyewitnesses to the contrary. What films and eyewitnesses, you may ask? For the first time, this author has compiled it all together and is very damning to Greer. Now, we're probably all aware of him here about the allegations, the 51 plus witnesses saw, they thought the shots came from the grass and all, that's always been a benchmark for crossfire conspiracy. Well, I've uncovered a grand total of 47 eyewitnesses, 8 police officers, 6 Secret Service agents, 29 spectators, 2 presidential aides, 1 senator, and even Governor Connolly himself, victim of the shooting, stated that the presidential limousine either slowed down, stopped, or at the very least failed to accelerate until only after the fatal headshot had made its mark and the president was killed. In addition to these eyewitness statements, because we can always say, well, they were mistaken, 47 people had delusions on 11/22nd, 3 major films of the assassinations, Woodward, Nixon, much more, back up the testimony of the aforementioned 47 witnesses in regard to this unbelievable breakdown of the president's vital security. Now, I'm going to put this on in a moment. In fact, maybe I'll take the time to put this on right now. Version of the Zapruder film is even clearer than the one that Oliver Stone uses for legal reasons he couldn't show it. And it's also the most slowed down version. No great claim to fame, but that's just something that I was able to do last year. But anyway, the sequence is crucial. The first shot or shots ring out. The car slows with brake lights on. The same 47 witnesses in one of these films, the Zapruder film, verify this. Keeping in mind that the car was already moving at Secret Service prohibited speed at 11.2 miles per hour, and Secret Service regulations are 44 miles an hour. For Greer to have decelerated the car by hitting the brakes at this point leads to the conclusion or verdict of extreme negligence. That's number one. First shot, brake lights on. Second, Greer turns around once. Besides the Zapruder film, which clearly shows his action, the much more film shows Greer turn around in the seat and his ear exposed to the camera. A witness, Charles Brown, who's seen in all 3 major films of the assassination, saw the limousine driver turn around after the first shot to see what had happened, to quote him. Greer steered to JFK, not Connolly, who has his back to Greer, obscuring the wounds Greer supposedly saw. As even the Warren Commission conceded in its report, this is why this is so important, JFK could have survived the neck injury. There was time to react and verification of the need for action. For in addition to Greer, Kellerman also turned around, as you may be able to see on that film, and saw the president injured and admitted so to the Warren Commission. So far, we have evidence of flagrant bad judgment, a lack of common sense, and most disturbing of all, a breakdown of Secret Service requirements, all in the hands of someone who obviously knew better and was trained to react upon this knowledge. He's not like me or you. Yeah, it was 30 years in the Secret Service. I mean, it's just ludicrous that he couldn't respond. I mean, he had 6 to 8 seconds, and it's even, critics have said for years, 5 seconds in the Secret Service is an hour to you or me, Mark Lane being one of them. It is somehow possible to give Greer the benefit of the doubt so far for A, slowing down the car, and looking back at Kennedy, the falling actors erased that chance forever. For Kellerman, tells him to get out of line, we've been hit. So we have him looking back, slows the car down, he's looking back right at Kennedy, which he's denying all these. Kellerman right next to him telling him to get out of line. I mean, he sees danger, hears danger, but he gets a direct order, which the House Select Committee says that specific instructions to the driver were faulty when he had a specific instruction a foot away from his ear. Anyway, the most damaging part of all is Greer disobeyed his superior's order and stares at JFK for the second time and turns around for a second time until after the fatal headshot makes its mark. I mean, you can read into these things what you will, and you can try to make some sort of innocent explanation, but negligence goes right down to 2. It's one thing to look back once and negligence slow down the car, but to not to get the hell out of there when you're getting an instruction, and here, they're a foot away from you. I mean, anybody, just imagine a loved one being in the backseat of the car. You look back here, and they react to injury. Now, why the hell would you keep your foot on the brakes? Why the hell would you have to look back? Imagine somebody else sitting next to you, get the hell out of line, and you don't do anything? I mean, that was 6 to 8 seconds, and the tragedy of that is JFK could have, I'm not saying he would have, but he could have been saved. And Greer had the capacity to be able to do that. And only in Kellerman's opinion, Roy Kellerman told author William Manchester, Greer then looked in the back of the car. Maybe he didn't believe me. That's that's buried in footnotes, by the way. Little footnote, the death of the president, never noticed by anybody. In fact, William Manchester says he's mistaken. And everybody took that at face value. Jackie Kennedy was more blunt, according to her personal secretary, Mary Gallagher, who was also in Dallas. Mrs. Kennedy mentioned one Secret Service man who had not acted during a crucial moment and said bitterly to me, he might just as well have been Maud Shaw. Secret Service agent Marty Becker confirmed this unnamed agent was Greer. Yet even the First Lady had reportedly fumed to friends about the agent who'd been at the wheel of the presidential limo. The driver's reaction was so geriatric, Jackie allegedly told friends that he might as well have been Maud Shaw, the Kennedy children's nanny, John and Caroline. At the age that hit the gas before the third shot, she supposed that Greg Jack might still be with us today. It's no small wonder then why Jackie told Mary Gallagher only a week or so after the assassination, you should get yourself a good driver so that nothing ever happens to you. And what did Agent Greer have to say to Jackie moments after the assassination of Parkland Hospital? Oh, Mrs. Kennedy, oh my God, I didn't mean to do it. Oh well, hey, our inspector, they did a good job, just let it go. I don't blame him. Yeah, whatever. Presidential aide Kenneth O'Donnell, who rode directly behind Kennedy's limo in Dallas, summed it up best when he wrote, if the Secret Service men in the front had reacted quicker to the first two shots of the president's car, if the driver had stepped on the gas before instead of after the fatal third shot was fired, would President Kennedy be alive today? And just one little information here. Okay, well, you can proceed further with that. Just due to brevity of time, I'm just going to just briefly, I got so much more to tell you about Greer. It's not even funny. This ain't end on Elm Street, but I'll just briefly zip through them. November 27th. First of all, people ask me, what's the thing I can hold in my hands that's real about conspiracy? Don't give me speculation. Don't give me documents. Don't give me all this long talk. Give me one thing I can hold in my hand that's real that points to conspiracy. The Secret Service agents of the Knoll, the Warren Commission hospital made no answer to a dozen witnesses, including 3 police officers, saw credentials. Secret Service agents? No Secret Service agents were staged there. Who were these men? I mean, who were they? In the military intelligence, our Defense Department has told us that there was no military intelligence in dealing plastic. Yes, we know one, at least one, James Powell, who took a photo of the book depository, as George Evica has pointed out in previous presentations. We'll go on and on. Jack Ruby said he was in the Dallas Morning News office. We have witness testimony. He was in Dealey Plaza. His friend Joe Goldstein was behind the knoll with his van, Honest Joe's pawn shop, and he was let into a restricted area behind the knoll, and everybody just took it on face value and just let it go. And on November 2nd, see, the thing about Dallas is they tried to make it sound like it was a lightning bolt came out of the air, and Kennedy was killed by a man in a village shot a man in a car, to quote David Lipton. Well, it's not that easy. During Kennedy's entire administration, November of 1963 was unique because that was the only month where the amount of threats to him increased dramatically. I mean, unbelievably over the past months, let alone years of his administration. Well, on November 2nd, coinciding with the assassination of CIA, assassination of DM, by the way, involving elements of our U.S. government, including Henry Cabot Lodge. Not my speculation, it's facts, it's on record. Well, on that very same day, a motorcade of JFK's was canceled, the very first canceled motorcade in Chicago, and it would sound like a face value. Oh, okay, it's because of DM, right? He went back to the White House and assessed the situation. No, there was not just one threat, there was 2 threats. 4 Cuban gunmen, as well as a so-called disheartened Marine who had an identical background to Oswald, Thomas Arthur Valley, and served in a U-2 base right next door to Oswald's, had a rifle, was pro and anti-caster at the same time, was in a warehouse, just like the book depository. The planned assassination route was a 90-degree bend, and all the rest. And goes shooting up to November 18th. Again, due to brevity, we'll cover all this in much more detail, but November 18th, the second canceled motorcade, more threats, more people just let go. Joseph Miltier accurately predicted what was going to happen on November 22nd. The Secret Service knew about this as they knew about the November 2nd threats too. And they let it go. And it's scary because then 4 days before the event, we have a second canceled motorcade. And here's the thing now, the Secret Service and a lot of people try to make JFK out to be a scapegoat. Like, isn't it true that he wasn't the most protective president? Like, he didn't want a lot of Secret Service protection. Now, there's a lot of truth in that. But there was never a presidential directive to do anything. The Secret Service, only because the Warren Commission went after them in April 1954, demanded an answer why JFK had no Secret Service Service protection in Dallas, or overt Secret Service protection on the limousine. Well, reluctantly, 5 reports came to them from agents. They all originated with Floyd Warren, special agent in charge of the White House detail, who was on the trip to Tampa, where JFK supposedly 4 days before November 22nd, coinciding with these threats in the canceled motorcade, hey, get these men off the limousine. So all these years we've been taking it as a leap of faith that JFK did not want men on the back of the limousine. When you study the reports of the Warren Commission bonds, it all originates with Floyd Warren. So we have to take Floyd Warren's word for it. And another thing about November 22nd, Emory Roberts, the guy who was the special agent in charge of the follow-up part, he recognized Oswald's first shot as a shot, but what did he do? He ordered the men not to move. And furthermore, one of the agents who was responding, John Reagan, he recalled him to the follow-up car. We all see famous pictures of Clint Hill, as we've seen in the Bruder film, jumping on the back of cars, made to be out to be a hero, but he was extremely late. When you consider the car was 5 feet behind them, and they're going 11.2 miles per hour to begin with, the speed of you pulling out of a parking space, and he decelerated to like at least 9 miles per hour. George Emica has a deceleration chart to prove these things besides all this witnesses and films. It's ridiculous. And you can go on and on. I don't know what else to tell you. It's like November 22nd in the morning, these men are drinking at the Fort Worth Press Club in the cellar. They all should have been removed from the Secret Service. Right in the regulations, not my speculation, it says right there, it's grounds for removal from the service. And 4 of these men had protective detail on the follow-up car. That people joking, that's the reason why they had sunglasses on, they were hungover, who knows. But the bottom line is this, they were hanging on the follow-up car. They were 5 feet away, a shot rings out. Why did they all run forward? Why did it take Clinton Hill so damn long to reach the back of the car? I mean, you might say to yourself, it was only 6 to 8 seconds. Here again, for the Secret Service. I mean, look what happened when John Hinckley took a pot shot at Reagan. They were on him in 2 to 3 seconds like that. I mean, it's so fast, you almost have to slow down the V-star like that to see how it's just amazing, the response. And they had just their feet in agile minds, but back then, he had the accelerator of his car. All he had to do was, oh my God, boom, he's out of it. I mean, they don't just talk about Greer, I'm not even talking about the follow-up car that should have launched forward. And he ordered the men not to move. He recognized the first shot of the shot, Henry Roberts. And he let it go with that. They don't explain why the hell would you do that? They let it go. And so basically, to sum this up, what I'm trying to say is November 22nd was not lightly pulled out of the air. Judging off the Chicago-Miami threats, I think it was a moving crime. I think the Secret Service was not just lax. I think that there was a security stripping test. That's the only way I can put this matter to rest in my mind. How could he spend a bit complicit? Like the old saying, too many people have been involved, and I frankly agree. There's a third alternative, not as innocent or guilt, but just the way Oswald said, I'm just a patsy. Maybe the Secret Service were patsies by the intelligence community. Maybe the CIA had a vendetta. Secret Service had a little bit of vendetta too, because at the same time as President Kennedy fired the top 3 men of the CIA, the top 4 men of the Secret Service were let go, including the chief of the Secret Service, who became the chief of the Secret Service on November 22nd, 1948. Exactly 15 years later, the man who fired them was killed. Just a coincidence, out of 364 to 365 days, at November 22nd. And this book was written before the Kennedy assassination. It's called Secret Service Chief by U.E. Bauman. And he says, this date will live in infamy for me, November 22nd, 1948. Admittedly a coincidence, but just something food for thought. But in the final analysis, what I gather is, just from all the things that I've uncovered, I think the Secret Service was led into a situation where Kennedy, despite these threats to his life, these canceled motorcades, all the month of November, he just said, to hell with it. I think there is some truth. I'm not trying to talk out of both sides of my mouth. I think there is some truth that Kennedy did not want protection, but he never gave a word reason to the Secret Service. Don't do this, don't do that. Even Clint Hill, the hero of Dealey Plaza, said there was never any presidential directives to do anything. So what I think happened was they put him in a situation where there was going to be a lot of dog and pony show, a lot of smoke and fire, and it would have been like, Jesus, now I know that the Secret Service was right, I need protection, and it could have been a side benefit for the intelligence community. The assassination attempt that failed, but here we go, we got our patsy, we got our invasion. But what happened was people in the intelligence community said, Jesus, it's a perfect opportunity for a setup, because everybody would take the fall, everybody would shut up, because Jesus Christ, we set him up in a situation where he was a sitting duck. And you might say Vince today, whatever, but he's a sitting duck on the film, 5 feet away. Why did they do anything?